Oh my God, they are already slinging mud like it's October. I'm James Parker. This is The James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Now, Donald Trump's in the Situation Room. We are awaiting word that he might have some sort of tentative agreement on Iran. In the if he pops his head out and lets you know, we'll jump right into that. But my top story here today is, my God, it's already so bad. You're supposed to ramp things up in election cycles. You're supposed to kind of start soft and then work your way into the battle at Sterling from Braveheart. We're already to this. Like, it's not even June. We're already to this. So the lady that runs the Democrats' Twitter account, Twitter feed, social media manager of some sort, made a lot of hay because there was a post from Stephen Miller, one of the White House aide, the bald guy. You recognize him? Do you recognize the name? I feel like he's pretty well-known fella. But he made a joke posting about James Tallarico. Congratulations on Democrat. I mean, he's been making a lot of jokes about James Tallarico, and it's pretty brutal. I'll give him that. But the lady who runs the Democrats' Twitter account tweeted back to him something that has now become its own discussion. She wrote, now this is from the Democrats' Twitter account, at the Democrats. This is the official Twitter account for the party. Shut up, you ugly F. Except she wrote out the whole word. She didn't just write F and some asterisks. She spelled the whole thing out. What the heck? Well, turns out this lady is kind of what you expected. She's 30 years old. She's not married. No kids. She's a woman of color. So already she's hitting a whole bunch of check boxes on the DEI tree. And then she did an interview yesterday where she was asked to kind of explain herself. Her name is Paulina Mangabot. And this is her doubling down.
I want Katie Miller to know that her husband is an ugly Stephen Miller is one of the most powerful men in the country right now. He is a White House official who is taking to Twitter to hurl these absolutely false and transphobic attacks against an amazing candidate in Texas, James Tallarico. We simply called him ugly. And I think that what he has been doing is ugly. He is celebrating when ICE shoots down Americans in the street. He thinks that it's cool when families are separated, and it's just absolutely disgusting. And so, yeah, I stand by calling him an ugly.
Stephen Miller's wife was interviewed, and that's who she referenced there, Katie Miller. And, she seems to be taking it pretty hard, but not quite as foul-mouthed.
But what it remains to be seen is this is an anonymous account, and it is run actually by a sad liberal woman named Paulina, which is why Pew says 50% of liberal women at some time have identified that they have a mental health disorder, and she is certainly one of them. What a sad state for the pathetic Democrat Party.
A better soundbite here is Stephen Miller himself. Now, he was on Jesse Waters last night, and I mean, it came up, and it was like, whatever. I think he knows he's not an underwear model. He's kind of ugly. That's all right. If that's all you got, you're kind of admitting you lost the argument there. But her take on him, he's just a terrible person. He celebrates when Americans are shot. He's an ugly F. Everybody hates him. Was that really intelligent? Was that really thought-filled? Was that really provoking? Was that really fun to listen to? Because this is his comeback on Jesse Waters last night.
Well, first of all, I think it is very bold. One could even say brave, courageous, that the Democratic Party would choose Texas, of all places, to nominate their first transgender Senate candidate who's clearly transitioning into a female. When Tallarico goes in for a blood test, when he gets a physical, blood doesn't come out. Instead, soy milk comes out. This man has less testosterone than Jasmine Crockett. It is a mind-boggling choice. They would choose a person to run for that office who looks like he doesn't belong in the Senate, but in a cabaret show. Look, at the end of the day, I have a hard time believing that the people of Texas, some of the toughest, roughest, strongest men and women, the pioneer heritage, the frontier history from the Mexican-American War through the Alamo and everything else, are going to choose somebody with that much soy to be a U.S. senator.
Oh, my God. Let's just put them in unitards and get them to wrestle. That's what we need to do. And that would be cool, actually. I would like to see Stephen Miller wrestle that lady, the Paulina Mangabot. I'd pay for that. I'd pay, I don't know, 50? I'd pay $100. No, I'd pay more than that. That'd be pretty cool. So it's already getting this ugly. The part I don't like about any of this is no one's talking about policy. We're talking about whether or not someone's ugly, whether or not someone's a vegan, whether or not someone is a Christian. How about taxes? Can we talk about taxes? Can we talk about balancing the budget? Can we talk about how you would govern as a senator? How do you feel about the necessary and proper clause or the general welfare clause? Now, and look, I didn't expect that. We never get that. I'm just saying that's what I would like to see out of these discussions. But boy, isn't it entertaining to hear that little back and forth? Because here's a couple of other parts where here's Tallarico himself addressing some of the big critiques. But there's a weird sleight of hand that's going on. And the vegan argument, does it really matter whether or not he's a vegan? No, I can clearly say as a human being, as a candidate, as his ability to do a good job as a senator, no. Now, politically speaking, is it really hard to win an election in Texas if everybody knows you're a vegan? Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this isn't really about whether or not your boys should be eating meat. It's this whole sort of dishonesty policy. But let me play this because we're going to take a break and I'm going to answer all of this Tallarico pushback from this next little 24-second clip.
They're going to throw everything they've got at us. They've already called me a radical leftist.
But you are.
They've already called me a fake Christian.
But you are.
They've even called me a vegan.
But
and those are fighting words in the state of Texas. You know, I'm an 8th generation Texan. I've been eating barbecue since before Ken Paxton's first indictment.
Yeah, but you have the vegan campaign. You said yourself, we got to go vegan. Why we got to go vegan? Because it's killing the planet. You said that. No one made you say that. You said that. So what's the deal? Do you think he's really a vegan or not? Because at this point, it doesn't make any sense either way. Either he was lying about being a vegan to win over Democrats last year, or he's lying about not being a vegan to win over moderate voters this year, or maybe he did just have an honest switch in the middle of it. But it's the part about climate change. Well, it's because we have a responsibility to the earth to not do this. Well, then you just brag that your family's been eating meat for 5 generations in Texas and what, destroying the planet? We'll try and make sense of this next on The James Show. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Is Tallarico a vegan? Does it even really matter? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And it comes up because Tallarico said this. Tallarico said his whole campaign is vegan, and he said it while he was wearing a mask.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were Little Nona's, and then they opened up a brick and mortar, so another Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there today. And so the point is that I think all of us, not just policymakers, but everyone has to take personal responsibility in this effort. We have, I think, heard more and more.
Yeah, that's enough of that. So there it is. He said, I'm running a vegan campaign, and he used the pronouns. I know they're big on pronouns. He used the pronoun we. We are only buying vegan products and only local vegan products. We are going entirely meatless. So did he change? Because today he says, this is so ridiculous. Can you believe these people are even lying about me and saying I'm a vegan? Where would this even come from?
They're going to throw everything they've got at us. They've already called me a radical leftist.
Yeah.
They've already called me a fake Christian.
Yeah.
They've even called me a vegan. And those are fighting words in the state of Texas.
Those are fighting words, buddy. You just watch it. Sounds like McFly at the end of Back to the Future. Like, hey, you, get your damn hands off her. God, what a dweeb. This is so great. We get 6 months of this. Round of applause. Right? Because this is... I'm not upset at this at all. I got to do a show. I got to cover 3 hours a day. We got this going on. Now, does it matter? Kinda. I mean, if he's like just this easily lying to your face about something that isn't even consequential, then, geez, there's no limit there. And so for all the people who are so concerned, Donald Trump, all he does is lie. He said he had the biggest inauguration ever. He said it was going to be 46 weeks. He said blah, blah, blah. Well, what about this guy? I'm so offended by lying people. What about this guy? No, not that time? Okay, so you know that whenever they just call Donald Trump a liar, or Ted Cruz a liar, or Ken Paxton a liar, they're not worried about liars. They just don't like them. Got it. Now, here's some other weird sound bites that are floating around about Tallarico that really don't speak that much to how he'll govern as a senator, but how unpopular this opinion is in Texas. He was talking about abortion, their favorite thing. And he corrected himself when he talked about women getting pregnant, and he said neighbors with a uterus.
So the reason I think you have a lot of pro-choice people who push back against the idea that abortion is immoral is because they believe that it is not. That in these situations, when there is an unwanted pregnancy, it is moral for a woman to be able to control her own body, or any one of our neighbors with a uterus to be able to control their own body.
Yeah, any one of our neighbors with a uterus. You mean like a woman? Well, it could be anybody. You mean a woman? Like who besides a woman has a uterus around here? Getting pregnant with a human baby. So the important part about that in my mind is of the Democrats I know, about half of them, that's their cutoff for too far. There's like lefty, and then there's far lefty. That's like the radical side within the lefty spectrum. And of my close friends, of my really close friends, none of them that are Democrats, none of them think men can have a baby or someone besides a woman can have a uterus. And they're Democrats, and they'll never vote Republicans. They hate Republicans. They've voted Democrats their whole lives. They swear they're liberal. They're pretty damn socialist, to be honest. But for a lot of people, that's sort of the factor that shows you he's not a moderate Democrat even. He's pretty radical there. And then the other criticism that he addressed, saying, can you believe people saying I'm far left and I'm a vegan? The other one he said is a fake Christian. Well, let's go show you that one real quick. There's a prayer that he held in the Texas state capitol. And the opening and closing of this prayer are quite suspect. Let me play you the whole first minute of this. I don't even want to preload it. Just listen.
Holy mystery, you have so many names.
All right, stop. I promised I was going to do the whole first minute. Holy mystery. Holy mystery. I'm not sure if you've ever heard that in your church before. Holy mystery.
Holy mystery, you have so many names. The Torah calls you creator. The Quran calls you peace. The Gita calls you destroyer. The Dharma calls you truth. And the first epistle of John calls you perhaps the most beautiful name of all.
Jesus?
Love.
Ah.
You are the strange love uniting all things.
Say Jesus.
The love that drew elements together after that Big Bang.
Say Jesus.
The love that drew life itself from those primordial oceans. The love that drew us all to this exact moment.
Is that an evolution reference?
The love we were born of, the love we exist in, and the love we will one day return to. In my faith, you expressed yourself through a barefoot rabbi who embodied your perfect love. A crucified carpenter who gave only 2 commandments: love God and love neighbor.
What no, he gave a lot more commandments than that. What was all that evolution stuff? What was all that Big Bang and primordial ooh stuff? How can you talk for 1 minute describing your God and not say the word Jesus? You can say Dharma. You can say you mention all the other gods out there. No, this is not a pluralistic society. You're supposed to be like a seminarian? You're supposed to be a Christian? And you mention other gods just right up there with your God? You're just pluralistic? That's what we call a fake Christian, right? And then at the end of it here too, he gets a little wiggy in the last 25 seconds.
Because democracy is not just a constitution. Democracy is a covenant. Holy mystery, open our minds, open our hearts, open our hands so that we may build a new world in the shell of the old, a world that is more just, more free, more whole, and more in love with you. In all your many names we pray. Amen.
All your many names? What the heck was that? All right, now, if you're not a Christian or if you're just a casual Christian, I'm sorry if I'm talking past you, but for other Christians out there who've like actually read the Bible for 5 seconds and know, I mean, what did Solomon get in trouble for? What was Solomon condemned for? Because he was what? Open to other gods and then putting them in the temple with the one true God. And, you know, he was like saying, hey, we could just be multicultural just because the Moabites or Edomites or whoever else was around, the Sumerians and the people that we could put Baal in there. We can just mention Baal along with our Jesus. We could just mention, I don't know, Dharma along with our God out there. Being pluralistic was condemned. It was condemned by all 19 kings in the northern kingdom after that. Like, this is one of the primary things that happened over and over and over in the Old Testament. There would be a king, he would be pluralistic, he would be condemned by God, bad things would happen. God would say, well, I'm just one true God. Jealousy is kind of a thing with me. The first 3 of the 10 commandments covered this. And here he is just throwing it out there. Can you believe people are calling me a fake Christian? Yeah. 800-288-9227. More making fun of Tyler Rico next on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. All right, who wants to address some of these rumors about Tallarico's dating life? I'm James Parker. It's the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. This isn't my theory. I don't think this is important personally for my vote, yay or nay. But things like this do matter in the court of public opinion, especially voting in a state like Texas, because there are some demographics who just won't vote for you if your sexual orientation doesn't meet their preference. I'm just trying to find a nice way to say this without offending anybody or, I don't know, getting fired. But in this one, I'll let Jesse Waters explain the rumor here. This is Jesse Waters talking with Stephen Miller yesterday.
He's also 37 and not married. Let's get into this. He says just recently that he has a girlfriend and they've been together for 4 years. And he called her his best friend. And she was his rock. And he's not revealing her identity because he wants to respect her privacy and keep her safe during the campaign.
Does she live in Canada?
Now, if the campaign has only been going on for less than a year and they've been dating for 4 years, why haven't we ever seen this woman before? Basically, what I'm saying is this: she exists. We're going to find out, because if he wins, are they going to have a coming out party? Or is she still going to stay the secret girlfriend? And is this totally not fake girlfriend also a vegan?
All right. Now, that's fun to talk about on a personal level. Again, it shouldn't matter on your vote. But it does, not for your vote, not for my vote. But Stephen A. Smith was on the Bill Maher show in August of last year. And he admitted something that you and I have both thought. Pete Buttigieg polls terrible with black people. In fact, if he had done as good with black people as he did with the rest of the Democrats, he very well might have come out ahead against Biden in 2020. Now, why don't they support him? Is there some sort of reason why black people won't support Pete Buttigieg? Is this sexual orientation related? Don't listen to me. Listen to Stephen A. Smith on Bill Maher.
Democratic primary voters, 16% would support Buttigieg. That's the highest of any candidate. Pete Buttigieg.
I don't believe it.
Wait.
I think that's just a poll number. I can't see that happening.
Well, okay, but wait. 16%. Black voters, zero. Zero. You don't usually see zero anywhere. Zero's low.
For who?
For Buttigieg. Okay, explain that. I mean, why do black voters have this? I mean, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's under-indexing a little bit with black voters, yeah.
A little. What is that all about?
He doesn't move us. I respect the man. I've interviewed him before. Very nice man, highly intelligent. But you gotta be able to move us, bro. He doesn't move us. Well, you can speculate as to why that is. I'm not going there. He doesn't move us.
What does that mean? Dude, he was polling at 0% with black Democrat voters. Tallarico's going to lose because of the black vote. You understand that? If this gay rumor isn't squashed soon, this will cost him the election. I'm not proud of that. I don't celebrate that. I don't want that. It shouldn't be so. But those are real numbers. I did not make that up. You heard other people say that themselves. You heard Jesse Waters say it. You heard Bill Maher. You heard Stephen A. Smith. There's a little bit of smattering of the great Dr. Phil in there, too. Yeah, he's indexing kind of low. Love that guy. All right, Kim in Fort Worth, thank you for hanging on. You're next up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Thank you, James. No, I was just calling in about about Tallarico's prayer. Him saying the great mystery, I don't necessarily have a problem with that. The main thing I have a problem with, two things. Number one, he referenced Jesus as just a rabbi, that taught us about love. To be a Christian, you have to believe that Jesus was the Son of God, laid down his life for our sins. And if you don't believe that, you're not a Christian. The other point is he lumped the Bible in with all of these other religious works. And to me, that says he doesn't believe the Bible is the inspired word of God, which again is a foundation of Christian belief. So if that's the case, I don't believe that Tallarico's a Christian. He may think he is, but, he's a theologian. He's been to seminary anyway. He knows what we believe as far as our faith, and for him to make that claim that he's a Christian and then reference Jesus in the Bible in those terms, it doesn't check my boxes.
Yes, but will Democrat voters who are also Christians see it that way?
I think the group that he's going to have the most trouble with are Democrat Catholics.
Why is that?
Well, because they take the deity of Jesus very seriously, and if you're a strong Catholic as a Democrat, I think that's where he'll have a problem with that group of people.
Yeah, maybe so. I do love the fact that they're touting, his Christian credentials. Look, he's a seminary student. He speaks about God. He's one of the good Christians, not one of the crazy evil MAGA Christians. It's like, I thought Christians were evil. I thought Christians were the worst, right? Haven't we heard that over and over and over? All those evil Christians, especially straight white Christian males, they're just the absolute worst. They're the things they're our greatest domestic terror threat. They're just full of hate and bigotry. Yeah, white Christians, worst thing ever, right, Jennifer?
White evangelical Christianity is a cancer. These are the worst people in our country because they use their religion in two ways, as a weapon and as a shield.
Yeah, thank you very much. 800-288-9227. Coming up next, my buddy Nick's Right from the Nick's Right podcast is going to talk about the Rally for Rednecks, because this isn't necessarily a rally standing up for the Indian community as much as it is condemning you. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Hey, I don't want to get anybody's attention over here, but this rally against rednecks sounds like it might be a little racist. Maybe even Christophobic, if we can invent a new word. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Your home for Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins. And look, if you're on social media, you probably saw this 1,000 times. But there's a guy up in Frisco, Zul Muhammad, who's putting together a rally for rednecks. People have called the city of Frisco to confirm, and it sounds like there's actually a plan to do this. June 2nd, Frisco City Hall. He's going to rail against all you evil white rednecks and all you evil bigoted Christians who aren't as accepting as you should be. Now, on yesterday's show, you heard Nick Wright from the Nick's Right podcast read some of the guy's response to the criticism, and it made it even worse. Nick's Wright's now on the show. Hey, Nick, thanks for coming back. So it turns out this guy isn't some pluralistic, open-minded, live and let live coexist kind of guy. Sounds like he doesn't like white people or Christians. Now, does this guy have any sort of real following, or is he going to be the only dude that shows up on June 2nd? Yeah. Yeah. That, and they keep killing us. Right. All right. Well, Nick's right. One of the things I find disappointing about this is our reaction from our liberal neighbors, our Team Blue neighbors over here, who are constantly pining for the rights of minorities and women. And, you know, the feminists out there should be on our side when it comes to the Islamification of Texas, and they're out fighting for them, putting on the hijabs and hiring them to be principals. They're all about it, and that makes just no sense. They want to throw gays off buildings. They want to subjugate women. Why aren't they on our side? All right, what's coming up on the Nick's Right podcast? Interesting. All right. Nick's Right Podcast. Find it on all the platforms. I follow him on Twitter. He's a great follow. Thanks again, Nick. Appreciate you being on the show. All right. Coming up next on the James Show, what's going on with Jill Biden? What's going on with the media trying to rewrite the timeline of Joe Biden's mental collapse? You'll hear the hilarious, just pathetic attempt to rewrite this narrative next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Well, you got Tallarico trying to rewrite the record on him being a vegan. You got the rest of the media trying to rewrite the record on them and the Biden mental health timeline. How could they screw that up? Welcome to the James Show, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. I don't know why this lady would do any interviews for anyone for the rest of her life, but Jill Biden did an interview, asked about her husband's debate performance, and she said, I thought he might be having a stroke. Well, let me play this for you, but already in your head, that doesn't make any sense, does it? You haven't even thought about it for 6 seconds. That doesn't make any sense.
Were you horrified as you saw it unfold?
I wasn't horrified, I was frightened because I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since.
Lie.
Never.
Or since?
Yes, or
You've
since.
never seen him like
never.
that?
No.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke. And it scared me to death.
Never seen it before or since. It scared her to death. She wasn't horrified, but it scared her to death. Okay, so if it scared you to death and you thought he might be having a stroke, certainly you would have a doctor look at him, right? Certainly you would have him taken in for a brain scan or something. Well, here it is. I think this is the next day or 2 days later. Karine Jean-Pierre doing the White House press briefing was asked about if Biden got a brain scan. No, he didn't.
Did the president get examined by a doctor or did he get a neurological scan?
A neurological scan? Look, what I can say is that, just to take a step back, it was a bad night. We understand that it was a bad night. And the president has spoken to this. And he understands that.
Did the president...
A neurological scan? Like, what a ridiculous suggestion. Oh, really? Ridiculous suggestion? Because it looks like the first lady just thought he had a stroke. Now, everybody's lying to you on this one that is on the wrong side of this. Anyone who was lying to you about his mental health condition is continuing to lie to you about it today. No one is saying, yeah, we all saw it. We just hated Trump and we were hoping he could at least hold it together long enough to beat Trump. I would appreciate that. I would respect that. Eve, I would appreciate the honesty. But that's not what they're saying here. Now, does that make any sense? First off, Jill Biden's lying because I've never seen him act like that before or since. Dude, you saw him running around with mashed potatoes for brains for about 6 years before this happened. In fact, it was one of the funniest memes and jokes we had going on when he was running in 2020. We were making this joke. We had the montages. We were asking the questions, making fun of him being a human Roomba. Run around eating ice cream. Did you finish all your food? He showed me his plate. Good boy. He got extra pudding cup because he didn't fall asleep during the meeting with the Japanese prime minister. We were making fun of him the entire time. And we've seen him since then. He still has mashed potatoes for brains. It's not like he's out there doing calculus. Now, the media has the same problem. Not just politicians, not just Karine Jean-Pierre, not just Jill Biden. Abby Phillips on CNN, she has the show that we get all the good Scott Jennings clips from. So here is, someone put this together for me. I forgot who. I wish I could give him credit. I think it was Newsbusters. But there's a clip of her in 2024 before the debate that wrecked the Joe Biden mental health narrative. A clip from her after the debate, immediately after the debate, before everyone knew that, oh, yeah, we all agree that we're going to admit to see the thing that everyone else has seen and this guy's mental decline is too far bad and we're going to install Kamala. Before that part. So it's after the debate, but before the jettison of Joe Biden. And then you're going to hear her this week talk about, boy, someone needs to be held accountable for lying to us.
The November choice is between two old men.
Oh, by the way, I did the funny thing where I did the walkie-talkie sound with my mouth to divide up the clips so you'll know when they're changing.
The November choice is between two old men. We know that. But tonight I want to talk about the Joe Biden that Republicans want you to see and the pipeline of videos that aren't telling the full truth. Oh. Now, those videos are probably right now clogging the public consciousness as Americans start to think about their votes. The RNC wants to weaponize questions around Biden's age. Isn't it possible that things have changed. He, like every other human being, is aging. And that process of aging, it seems, is having an impact on his ability to do the job. The autopsy that the Democrats didn't delve into that, but it should.
Yes.
What kind of political system covers that up and makes it okay to lie to people about what everybody knows is true?
Whoa, man, doesn't that take just a huge pear? Like she just got a couple of cantaloupes dangling between her legs. You were the one saying, look at all these videos. They're just so misleading. They're editing them together selectively and intentionally trying to mislead you on Biden's mental condition. You were participating in the lie. You were on the front lines of the lying phalanx. You were the one calling them cheap fakes. You were the one showing the videos and then trying to dissuade the American people from believing what they see and hear with their own eyes and ears. And then to have the cojones to come back and be like, someone needs to be held accountable for to just lie to the American people like that. You did. We all saw it. I know you saw it too. You were pretending not to see it for political purposes. And you're continuing to lie. Now, just admit it. Just admit it. We all know that he was way far gone. He was gone before 2020. And y'all were going to prop up this corpse because y'all had already cleared out your bench for Hillary Clinton, never replaced it with anybody. So you had to get Obama left over, or you were going to be stuck with Bernie Sanders again. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Now, as fun as this is to watch, make no mistake, no one's going to be held accountable for it. Coming up next, Casey Fleming from Black Ops Partners is going to answer what is going on with this Iran deal. I don't know. I still, Iran. I still don't know. 800-288-9227. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, what's going on with the Iran deal? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Man, I don't know. I've been trying to keep up with this, having a hard time. Been getting a lot of good info from my buddy Casey Fleming from Black Ops Partner, so let's have him back on. Casey, welcome back. I mean, is for real this time, are we going to have an Iran deal? Wait, are you saying Iran sees this as a win? I'm sorry. Okay. Any chance we get the uranium? Why would they agree to that? Well, I think we all expect an end to this pretty quick because politically speaking, if we don't get this behind us, it's going to really make waves during the midterm elections. And that's really kind of a sorry way to run foreign policy, but that's just kind of what we've seen with these conflicts in the past. I mean, that's the greatest piece of evidence I have that this is going to wrap up soon. All right, Casey Fleming, what's going on with Iran's oil now? They pump it out of the ground. Can they get it out the Strait of Hormuz? Well, I don't think we can get a positive take out of this as long as the IRGC isn't still in power. All right. Thank you very much, Casey Fleming, Black Ops Partners. How do they find your work online, sir? Thanks again, Casey Fleming, y'all. Coming up next, this week's episode of Garrett's World, and I've been told not to listen to this one in advance, so we will be hearing it for the first time together. I'm James Parker on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Garrett wanted me to remind you, ladies, that he is single. So form an orderly queue, ladies. Down the hall. No fighting over Garrett. All right. So, look, I'm the host of the show. I get to talk all the other days, all the other hours, but we give one segment to the guy across the glass here. He's Garrett. He's the producer of the show. He's one of the Garretts that is producer of the show. He's Garrett. There's also Good Garrett and Ginger Garrett. But Good Garrett gets a segment every week, and it's called Garrett's World. Now, this week, I haven't listened to it, but he's doing a man on the street interview segment again. And this one is just titled State Capitals or World State Capitals. Okay. So this is all I know. You and I are going to listen to this for the first time together. Everybody, it's Garrett's World.
So, state capitals.
Wait, did I tell you stop using the SpongeBob music? Yeah, that's the problem. You don't want to be the SpongeBob guy. You don't want to be taken serious for 5 seconds. How about neither? How about you don't be a cartoon? How about you're 29 years old? You need to be a grown man. You think the women that are lined up here to go on a date with you, their dream man is concerned with SpongeBob? He would represent himself thematically with a SpongeBob soundtrack? No, they don't. No, they don't. No. I think this might explain a part of why you're single. You think some girl's out there and her dream guy laughs like, you think any girl likes that and thinks that's sexy? You think any girl wants to reproduce with that? I want to start a family with that guy. That's not what women want. They want like a cowboy shooting a gun on a horse, fighting bad guys. Anyway, no, enough of that. We'll get back to Garrett's World here.
So, state capitals. We all had to learn them in school at some point. But let's see who's actually retained that knowledge after all these years.
What is the capital of Texas?
Is it Dallas? It's not Dallas. I don't know. Waco? That's Austin.
Austin? Austin.
It's gonna be Austin.
Austin? The capital of Texas is Austin, Texas.
What is the capital of California?
Don't know.
Los Angeles?
San Francisco.
LA? Los Angeles. That's Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Sacramento?
What is the capital of Florida?
Miami.
Fort Lauderdale.
Miami. Should I just guess Orlando? Tallahassee?
Tallahassee.
What
is the capital of New York?
New York City?
Can't actually. No. Albany, New York.
Albany.
Albany.
New York is Albany.
Okay, we're definitely getting better with these questions. Turns out a lot of people still know their state capitals. With that, this has been Garrett's World. Be sure to tune in next week for more interesting questions and even more interesting answers.
All right, that's pretty good. Aside from the SpongeBob theme music there. They did better than I thought they would. Because when you had the whole bunch of people just rip out Sacramento in rapid fire, I thought, oh, okay, well, this crowd isn't as dumb as the ones who couldn't name the vice president. Where was this located? Were you by the American Airlines Center again? Where was this? Just around here? Okay. Nice. All right. Well, good job. Getting better. We'll work on the theme music and an intro for it too, Gary. All right. So in the Tallarico coverage on the show before me, Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins, they were pulling out this soundbite that is, I don't know. I think most radio people are familiar with it, and depending on what show you listen to, you might have heard this before. But in responding to James Tallarico soundbites, they were using Anderson Cooper giggles. Have you heard these little like, right? Like that's hilarious. Like that's a real giggle fit that Anderson Cooper had when he was on CNN, and you can go mine this, and there's a bunch of different spots where he was reading a funny story about Gerard Depardieu. I think he whizzed on a plane or something like that, and then so you get a bunch of good little cuts out of it like this, and it just sounds so sissy and girly. You can't help but like the guy.
Oh,
Like-
see this sort of thing on YouTube, and you don't think.
No, actually, this is equivalently. Garrett said in my ear, "That's as bad as the SpongeBob left." No, this is the equivalent of this. It's not worse than the Sponge. It's the same thing as the SpongeBob left. It's effeminate and childish and not very manly and all, and probably repulsive to women, especially when they're ovulating. But does everybody know the sound bite? The longer did Mark Lee Van Camp and Robbins? Did they play the whole like 1 minute, 1.5 minute story where that came from? Because I didn't hear them play it. Did you hear them play that, Garrett? Because I think y'all would get a kick out of it if you heard the whole minute and 20-second get. Okay, well, I didn't hear them play it. So for the people who missed it, this is where these sound bites come from. It was on CNN in April 11th, 2012. Man, I'm old. 100 over here.
So after Gerard took his little solo flight to urination, the plane had to turn around and go back to the gate, and some unlucky cleaning crew had to deal with the Golden Globe winning Tinkle. Now, all I can say is they should thank their lucky stars it wasn't Depardieu. Sorry. That made me giggle every time I read it. He hasn't commented on this incident. Depardieu. I know you got it, but... All right, sorry. Sorry, this has actually never happened to me. You always see this sort of thing on YouTube, and you don't think. All right. Sorry. All right. He hasn't commented on the incident, but if I know the European celebrity spin machine, and I think I do, there will probably be some excuse, like he was doing research for a movie role.
All right, coming up next on the James Show, it is predicted by sometime next year in 2027, AI will reach what's called AGI, artificial general knowledge, and that's sort of the computer world's explanation on an AI that is smarter than every human being on every subject. And once we reach that, once AI is smarter than you and me and everybody on Earth, do you really think humans are going to be able to retain control of it? You'll hear from Elon Musk on that next on the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. At what point does AI take over? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And I know for some people that might sound some like goofy science fiction sort of fantasy world. And James, you've been watching too much Terminator. Don't have to worry about that. But no, think about it. Look, we're finally here. This has been something that's been like a dystopian future. This is something that has, been on your radar, but not anything. Look, because when we were kids, we weren't worried about the computers taking over. We're over here playing with a speak and spell. A-E-I-L-E. That was never going to take us over. All right? Frogger was not going to take us over. AI? Oh, we're so dead. We are so dead. I don't know if you appreciate yet just how much trouble we're going to be in. Now, I think there's going to be a golden age of cooperation between humans and machines, and we'll experience that. But on a long enough time scale, I can see how this would be a problem. It was not only predicted in the documentary series called The Terminator, but also in The Matrix. Remember how they were explaining, how did we get into this dystopian hellscape future? Well, Morpheus was explaining it to Neo.
We have only bits and pieces of information, but what we know for certain is that at some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth to AI.
AI? You mean artificial intelligence?
A singular consciousness that spawned an entire race of machines. We don't know who struck first, us or them, but we know that it was us that scorched the sky. At the time, they were dependent on solar power, and it was believed that they would be unable to survive without an energy source as abundant as the sun. Throughout human history, we have been dependent on machines to survive. Fate, it seems, is not without a sense of irony.
All right, so a lot of people just make this natural, logical conclusion here, and I do too. If we're going to be making machines that are more powerful and smarter than we are, I don't know how long we can control them. Elon Musk was doing an interview on some podcast that I think I saw this on Sunday, so it must be before that. But there's two guys interviewing him, and he kind of throws a little bit of water on the fun.
You were previously hinting at a vision where it keeps human control over this, singularitarian future. Because
I don't think humans will be in control of something that is vastly more intelligent than humans.
So in some sense, you're like a doomer, and this is like the best we've got. It's just like it keeps it around because we're interesting.
I'm just trying to be realistic here. If AI intelligence is vastly more, if AI is like, let's say that there's a million times more silicon intelligence than there is biological. It would be foolish to assume that there's any way to maintain control over that. Now you can make sure it has the right values, or we can try to have the right values. And at least my theory is that from XAI's mission of understanding the universe, it necessarily means that you want to propagate consciousness into the future. You want to propagate intelligence into the future. And take a set of things that maximize the scope and scale of consciousness. So it's not just about scale; it's also about types of consciousness.
All right, now add this up to I've kind of been freaking myself out a little bit watching these videos online. In the Russian-Ukrainian war, there are these attack drones, and so many of them have video cameras on them, and all they do is go find someone, whoever they're looking for, and go blow them up. And so there was this guy who was in Ukraine, and he was some important mastermind of some attack on a Moscow the skyscraper or something. I forget what the setup was, but the Russian army looking for him. You're just looking through this camera on a drone of it flying around. And so the Russians have blown a hole into the side of this building, and this drone is just going through this abandoned building like a video game. Looks like you're playing Wolfenstein, or maybe I should come up with a newer reference, like a Grand Theft Auto almost, or Call of Duty is probably the closest because everyone's in military garb. So instead of watching like a Black Ops 4 commercial, it's actually finding a human being. And you see a human being, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. He just sees the drone and he's trying to hide from it, and it chases him down. What a nightmare scenario this is. So look, once you combine super intelligence with the ability to have these drones that can just come out, find you somewhere, and on their own identify the target, verify it is who they want to kill, and then go fly close enough to that dude that it explodes itself and kills the human being next to it. That's some scary stuff. I think we're just going to all have to walk around with shotguns and rely on our duck hunt skills, because we've been training for this. If you're around my age, we've been training for this our entire life, since the 80s, since duck hunt came out. We've been waiting for this. This is what life's going to be like in about 20 years. You're just going to be walking down the road trying to go to work. Oh, look, it's another Russian attack drone. Time to get on board. Oh, look, I think it's one of those Chinese attack drones. Give me some shells, kiddo. All right, let's load up the gun here. Oh, there's another one. Let's get him. This is what your life is going to be like in the future. It's just going to be duck hunt, but with drones instead of ducks. Or, in duck hunt, when they did the disc, you could do the skeet shooting. Get ready. But I, for one, would like to be on the record as welcoming our new robot overlords. If you're listening to this in the future from some recorded archives, just let the record show that I was on your side always. Coming up next on The James Show, I found another guy who hates urban bicyclists as much as me. And now you have to hear him next. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. No, I don't hate all bicyclists, just one certain annoying group of them. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Listen, a lot of this has been exacerbated by working where I work and the fact that there's bike lanes that are all over the neighborhood where our studios are. We're at the American Airlines Center here in downtown/uptown. And over here on Houston Street, there is a curbed off bike lane going in either direction. And I've worked here for 2.5 straight years of looking out this window at that bike lane. And I've kept count. There have been 14 times I've seen a bicycle in the bicycle lane. Now, I've seen more bicycles than that. They're never in the bike lane, though. Oh, well, all but 14 of them. They've either been on the sidewalk or in the street or going the wrong direction or cutting through the grass or cutting through the plaza or not following the rules or going the wrong way. Just anything but the bike lane. So it drives me absolutely insane. But even out of this urban setting, it's quite annoying. If you're in a nice neighborhood and there's like a phalanx of these guys that are blocking the road, I think that ticks everybody off. And it's not even that. It's on top of that. Why do they dress like that? Why do you wear spandex? No one wants to see that. Old man, it's for aerodynamics. Shut up. How aerodynamic do you need to be on your bike? If you're doing it for exercise, why do you care if it's aerodynamic? Wouldn't you get more exercise if you had wind drag? I mean, it's almost counterintuitive. Yes, I want to exercise, but I want it to be as smooth and least exercisey as possible. You're not in the Tour de France. You're not a pro. Your bike looks silly. I mean, you can't even take off any sweet jumps. Can you even take that thing through the mud if you had to? But it turns out I'm not the only guy that feels this way. I found my spirit animal, and I don't even know his name, but I love this guy. I'm just sorry I had to bleep him so much.
I cannot stand these bicyclists. When I'm doing 30 and a 50 because I'm stuck behind 8 grown men dressed like radioactive highlighters, I start to develop opinions. Why the are you guys riding 3 deep down the road? Like they're not handing out gold medals at the end of this cul-de-sac, Kyle. Nobody looks like they're having fun. Nobody is smiling. They look like they're transporting organs that have to be to the hospital in 6 minutes or less. Meanwhile, traffic is backed up 3 zip codes because Chad in his tour to midlife crisis thinks the road belongs to him and Team Spandex Thunder. And then when you go to pass them, they throw their hands up like you're the villain, like you just violated the Geneva Convention. Meanwhile, you just spent $10,000 to be the world's most expensive inconvenience. And why do these guys travel in packs? 1 bicyclist, sure, I can handle that. But 8 of them? That's a tactical formation. That's a infantry unit. And they roll up on you sounding like a flock of asthmatic geese.
All right, let's get racial on this because a lot of people get all sensitive and stuff. Like, well, why are you talking about black? Don't talk about white people like this. Who was that did that the other day? Oh, yeah, that was Isaac. Isaac was like, you don't bring this up when it comes to diddling teachers when I was talking about teen takeovers. Well, let me give our listeners of color some credit here. This seems to be only a problem with white people. Do you ever seen a brother on a bicycle, and I don't mean on a bicycle period, but dressed like that in the spandex with the little foo-foo cupcake helmet on? Got to be all aerodynamic. Dressed like, what do you call him, a radioactive highlighter? You'd never see a brother do that. You don't see any Mexicans doing that. Now, you see a Mexican on the bicycle, but not dressed like that. Not blocking the street. Not wearing the stupid shades and stupid helmet and then getting all ticked when you try and pass them. You know, the people that do it for utility, the people that do it because they're going to work, or the people that do it because they can't afford a car, or they're on hard times, we don't have a problem with that. We have a problem with the guys that are some accountant or some lawyer or something, some guy that's making $180,000 a year, and this is what he does for funsies. What is this? Dave in Burleson, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
Yeah, my thought is that they ought to, if it's an adult, they ought to have to pay like a registration fee and get the inspection done, just like they would for vehicles on the road.
No, I go in the opposite direction. I think if bicyclists shouldn't have to have insurance and an inspection sticker or a registration sticker, then why should I?
Well, that's true.
Yeah, go libertarian on me, bro. Why do you want to expand government to solve this inequality of government action in bikes versus cars? Go the other direction. If he doesn't have to have his little crappy Schwinn inspected, why do I? If he doesn't have to have a registration sticker on, then why do I? Because remember, you're told here, Dave, that they have every right, just as much right to be on the road as your vehicle, and so you have to treat them accordingly. Well, the government should treat them accordingly then.
That's right. I agree. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, I'm glad people share our sympathies here. It's been super annoying because I grew up in the country, and this was something I never had to deal with out there. Like, holy crap. If I saw somebody on a bicycle going across the road where I grew up, either I knew them or there is no second option, right? Like, no one gets lost and ends up way the heck out in the middle of nowhere. But here's another dumb thing. Out in Bug Tussle, like on the outskirts of it, there's a bike lane that is pretty much in the middle of nowhere. And me and the kids just laugh and laugh and laugh. Because if you're going the back way to UT Bug Tussle, my kid takes jazz classes there. We drive past it. And so like once a week, we've been driving past this thing for 3-4 years. And then one day, and it was only like a month ago, one day we actually saw a guy in a bicycle there, and we were falling out. We're like, oh my God, this is like seeing a unicorn. It's like finding a 4-leaf clover. It's like it's a Christmas miracle. I mean, I know it happened in April, but yeah. So yeah, let's give credit where credit's due. This is a problem with affluent urban whites, suburban whites, exurban whites, not rural. I don't see this in rural. But yeah, when you think about it, you don't see this happening in all demographics. This is just endemic to one race of people. And if we can notice patterns when it comes to crime or these other scenarios, we'll recognize it here. My ire for the urban bicycle enthusiast, looking at you, white people. Fix it. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Did you know we had 300 Sharia tribunals in Texas last year? Governor Greg Abbott talked about it on Fox News last night. You'll hear it next on The James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. All right, looks like we got a bunch of funny bicyclist stories lined up for you. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. And it warms my heart to feel the mutual disdain for the urban biking enthusiast on the James Show. 800-288-9227. Let's go to Randy, Roy City. You're first up on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.
All right. Well, probably 25 years ago, I was fixing to go out of town that morning, and I had to go do an emergency little job in Rockwall. And I'm coming back to Roy City to leave, and went through a bunch of bicycles. There must have been hundreds of them. Got through them pretty good, and I got to the east side of Roy City, and they had a bunch of them coming down the road. And I said, oh, my God, look at all these bicycles. And the police were standing there directing traffic. I knew all the cops in Roy City, except for the one that was standing in front of me, holding me up. Well, there was a couple of times a 200-foot break came between bicycles. I thought, well, man, why don't you let some cars go, kind of keep things moving. Anyway, I kind of got pissed off after a little bit, and I just took off, made a left turn, and he's running out there in front of me. I just kept going. Anyway, he come after me, walked up to my truck, and I didn't have my license insurance in my hand. I handed it to him. He started bitching and griping at me. I said, just give me the damn ticket. I got to go. And the cops that I knew standing out there, they were just like, had their head down, shaking their head like, Randy, what are you doing? So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. I laughed about it. That ticket cost me about $250.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks for sharing your story. That's Randy in Roy City, putting up with it. Rick in Denton, you're on News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Rick, you want to gripe about bicyclists or defend them? I don't know. Hello? All right, we'll go to Ray. Ray in Dallas, you're next up on the James Show.
Yes, sir. I have a good one. A gentleman on a bicycle. I'm going to say gentleman, white guy.
They're all white.
Hello, Miss Parker.
What, do you want to hear Miss Parker?
Yes, they are.
Hang on, I'll do it.
Miss Parker.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we're in a four-lane access to a left-hand turn under a overpass.
Okay.
And this guy's in the left lane, and he can't get the light to activate because of his bicycle. Well, he's screaming at me, waving his hands for me to move forward so the light will activate. I'm just laughing my butt off. I'm 2 car lengths behind him, and I would have sat there for hours just to watch his reaction because his bicycle would not activate that light to turn left. It was classical. It was
That sounds fantastic.
I filmed that one.
That warms my heart.
It was fantastic.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I love that.
We
Yeah.
need to torture them. There is a way to torture them.
Not all heroes wear capes, Ray. I appreciate it, sir. You're doing God's work out there. Keep it up. Steve in Grand Prairie, you're on the James Show.
Hey, how you doing, James?
Fantastic.
I'm a cyclist.
Let's go. Tell me why I'm wrong or something.
I'm not necessarily pro on bike lanes that aren't being used, but the reason that we have them is because you have people that get killed on their bikes, riding their bikes on roads. The reason people ride their bikes on roads is because you can't go 16 to 20 miles an hour on a walk path, going through parks and wherever they have those concrete paths at. People get upset. They got kids. They've got dogs. It's dangerous for those people. The reason that we look like highlighted people that are out there is so that drivers see us. There's already been 6 to 10 deaths this year from people being hit by automobiles. That's why there's a ride of silence every year to commemorate those people that got killed. We don't sit there and we ride in a group for safety because the more people that we have, we hope that somebody's going to see us. So when we ride solo on busy roads, that's when you die. That's what happened to that paraplegic athlete, that Olympic athlete just got killed up in Allen about a month ago or so when he was crossing 121. I ride in a group with Shawnee Trail Cycling Club up in Frisco, and I can tell you there's black people, there's Asian people, there's Indian people. It's all sorts of people. We all do it for our health. It keeps us healthy. It's hard when you get older to run and go lift weights. We enjoy cycling. You're out in the fresh air. and we're enjoying it. We try to ride on streets that aren't that busy. We try to avoid, pay attention to all the stop signals and everything else.
Do you have to wear skin tight clothes?
There's another reason that we have to wear that, because when you're cycling, you're hot as all get out. You're exercising in the heat of Texas, and that stuff is like your active wear that you wear for lifting weights and doing other stuff.
Steve,
because it wicks. It wicks the moisture away because you're burning.
Okay, but
up.
Steve,
That's the only reason we wear that. It's not for speed.
Okay,
it's for comfort.
Steve, I rode bicycles all summer in Texas growing up. I would go 5 miles to Brandon Turner's house and back when I was like 11, 12, 13 years old. I never had to wear skin-tight clothes. Yes, I was hot. Yes, I was sweaty. Yes, it was a mess. But you don't have to. You don't have to wear them. Just admit you don't have to wear them.
Did you ever go? You don't have to wear them, but did you ever go 30 miles in clothes like that? You would chafe all over the place. You'd have rashes all over your body in places you don't want them. Trust me.
We'll find a better exercise.
Hey, you have exercises you want to do. We have exercises we want to do.
Yeah, but my exercises don't make anybody late for where they're going. My exercises don't get people killed in pedestrian accidents. My exercises don't cause the government to block off lanes of the highway that are perfectly usable, or the road over here on Houston Street. I misspoke. Regular roads. This is an important, very busy road downtown, especially during American Airlines Center. This isn't like a residential cul-de-sac in a subdivision with an HOA is what I meant.
The reason they put the bike lane down there was probably because some idiot ran a cyclist. I mean, people ride their bikes. I will tell you, there's idiots that ride cyclists.
Everybody else done with this guy? All right, let's go ahead and do the montage. We got to do Name That Artist coming up next. And this week's gift, this week's prize, tickets to see Billy Idol. That's kind of cool, right? Billy Idol will be at Dos Equis Pavilion on September 18th. Tickets and information at livenation.com, or you can call in to win tickets now. On Name That Artist, I played the montage. You have to name not the name of the song, just the artist. And I know you think that's obvious. It's not always that obvious to the people. And so in this one, the category 1982. Can you name these 10 artists? All right, call in right now. If you want to win tickets to see Billy Idol, he'll be at Dos Equis Pavilion September 18th. But someone's going to win some tickets right now. Call 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. We'll line you up on hold. Then when we get back, I'll play the montage again. You can write them all down, and then when I go to you, you list them out, and it'll be pretty awesome radio. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Hey there, you're just in time for Name That Artist. I'm James Parker, News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP. Fridays at 4:30, we play one of the two James Show game shows and Name That Artist, exactly what it sounds like. I play a montage of 10 songs. Don't tell me the name of the song, tell me the artist here. So for all of you, what do we have, 5 contestants on hold? Get out something to write on, please. A piece of paper and a pen, or you could do a notepad file on your phone. Something like that. It could be an email draft, whatever. I'm going to play the montage again. I want all you guys to write it down, and I'm starting with you, Michelle, so pay attention. I want you to write all these down, and when I go to you, if you read off all 10 when I go to you first person, there's no challenges. You just win straight up. So write them down. This is today's montage. The category is, oh, I didn't even tell you what the prize is. Tickets to see Billy Idol. That's pretty cool. All right, so can you name these 10 artists? There's your songs. Do you know those 10 artists? Today at stake, 2 tickets to Billy Idol at the Dos Equis Pavilion on September 18th. For the rest of us, tickets and information at livenation.com. Michelle in Dallas, you're first up on Name That Artist. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Michelle, were you even alive in 1982?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. I mean, that's okay if you weren't. You can still play. All right, ready? You got your list out?
Yes.
All right, let's hear it. Ready, go.
Olivia Newton-John. Survivor. Joan Jett. Jay Galsfield. Human League. John Mellencamp. Steve Miller Band.
She's going to sweep it, isn't she?
Chicago.
Listen to that confidence. Keep going.
Hall & Oates.
And finally?
What was the last song?
And I ran down by my way. Couldn't get away. Oh my God, did you get 9 out of 10 and you're stumped on the last one? I ran so far away. Stupid haircuts. I ran so far away.
Dire Straits. Was that it? Dire Straits?
No, it's not Dire Straits. All right, you hang on. We have ourselves a dilemma here because she did 9 of them. So anybody else listening already has 9 of them, and all they have to do is know the last one, and she wins. Judges, what do we do about this? Do we give one other person a chance, or do we just give it to Michelle? Who's in there? All right. Judges say we give one person a chance. We're not going to roll through all 4 of them. We'll just give one person. Let's go to who was longest. Tom? No, Lee. Lee in Louisville. Let me hear your list, bud. Go.
Yes. Olivia Newton-John, Survivor, Joan Jett, Jay Giles Band, Human League, John Cougar Mellencamp, even though he's John Cougar back then, Steve Miller Band, Chicago, Hall & Oates, and Flock of Seagulls.
There it is. There it is. Oh, my God. Michelle's killing herself right now. Lee in Louisville, did you have all of those without the assist from Michelle in Dallas?
Yes.
Okay. Are you a big Billy Idol fan?
Yes, actually I am. I was alive then. I'm not sure how much alive 13-year-old is, but I was alive.
Good deal. All right. Well, I'm going to put you on hold. Good Garrett will get your information and email you the tickets. For the rest of us, Billy Idol, Dos Equis Pavilion, September 18th. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. All right, coming up next on The James Show, I'm going to squeeze in that little story about 300 Sharia tribunals in Texas last year. No big deal. I'm James Parker. It's News Talk 820, 93.3 FM WBAP. Sharia law is in Texas. Are we going to let it stay? I'm James Parker, News Talk 820 93.3 FM WBAP. Well, if you were hoping to keep Sharia out of Texas, we've already failed that metric. It's here. There was an investigation that was launched by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton back in April into alleged Sharia law enforcement. And it centers one of the two big courts that keeps getting brought up in this topic, because clearly we've been talking about this for months now. There is a Sharia court here in Dallas. It's called the Islamic Tribunal. Now, focusing on just the two courts that are here in Dallas, the preliminary info that's getting out from this investigation, no one's been arrested or charged with a crime or indicted or anything like that. But the news that's coming out says that there have been over 300 tribunals. And I don't mean 300 different courts. I mean 300 different cases that were held. And so actually, your governor, Greg Abbott, went on Fox News a couple days ago, or no, this was yesterday, and talked about that a little bit. And, we seem to be pretty far down the rabbit hole to just kind of be doing something about it now. And if they've done 300 cases, we have a problem.
Northeast of Dallas, Texas, where we are not going to allow the Islamification of Texas. We will not allow Muslim-only communities. We're not going to allow no-go zones or anything like that. In fact, there was a referendum on the Republican primary ballot about completely banning statewide Sharia law, and that's going to pass this next session when we get back into next session this next January. And so we've done more than any state to push back against any attempt to grow Islam or radical Muslim in our state. Northeast of Dallas.
I don't know how he can say that. We've done more than any other state. Have we? Does Vermont have 300 Sharia tribunals on their record? Hell, we may have the most Sharia place besides outside of Michigan. The only thing I can think about that's further down this rabbit hole than what we're seeing in Frisco is Dearborn and Hamtramck, Michigan. And that's fun to watch because the same reason we watch what's going on in California. They're a little bit ahead of us when it comes to some of these dumb progressive ideas like trying to build light rail all over the place. And it's fun to make fun of Great Britain and keep an eye on them because they're farther down the rabbit hole. What happens when you import too many people from the part of the world where rape is a hobby? And so you see what that looks like. You see what they're going through right now. Well, it sounds like again, with the exception of Michigan, no one's doing worse at keeping Sharia out of their state. Not very happy about that. Oh yeah, we've got a thing that will pass in the next legislative session. If it's important, call a special session now. You can call one. Just say, hey, we're going to deal with this. We're going to deal with this one Sharia thing. If it is so important, why was it unable to pass last year? I don't think y'all are taking this very serious. I don't think you want to take it serious. I think there's a lot of Chamber of Commerce, sort of the businessman side of the Republican establishment that likes the cheap labor, that likes the ability to say, hey, I've got this high-tech company, and if I bring in a whole bunch of people from this one part of the world, then I can save a few bucks even though it costs some Americans their job. That's okay. Just let it go. Don't listen to me. Just let it keep going. What could possibly go wrong? Another piece of viral video that I think you'd want to hear, because I think we're going to talk about this on Monday, but God knows what happens over the weekend. We might have an Iran peace deal, or we might have a new Iran bombing situation. Who knows? But if I had like a 4-hour show, I would definitely talk about this today. They've been protesting the ICE facility in New Jersey. Remember Delaney Hall? It's the one that got a couple of people in trouble last year when the representative McIver and the local mayor there in Newark tried to break into it, and they got stopped, and then they were charged with assaulting the police officer, and that whole controversy. Same place. There have been a steady stream of protests there this week and last week. I don't know what this is about. I mean, I'm sure it's about immigration, but why now? What's the big flare up for? But one piece that's getting passed around is this old white lady, this boomer looking, I don't know, 60, 70 maybe, somewhere around there. She is cussing and using ethnic slurs at one of the ICE guards who happens to be an Asian fella. Now, just as you and I are pointing at the rally against rednecks and saying, hey, all you people are so concerned about racism when it comes to a Nazi salute at a Stars game or a Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, where are you at on this one? Same thing. This ICE protester, where are you at on this one? This sounds pretty damn racist.
You don't stand up for your people? You. All of you. Mr. Asian, you scared to talk to people? Mr. Asian.
What's with the race?
Oh, what's with the race?
What's wrong with you?
What's with the race? Let's talk about race.
No.
Why? Let's talk about race. How about all the brown and black people in Delaney Hall? How about that? That you torture. Mr. Asian. You're a piece of
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Asian bleep. Wow. Okay. So you can get away with all kinds of racism, ethnic slurs, a white person attacking a person of color, calling them all kinds of names, degrading them. As long as you're on Team Blue, you can get away with it. You understand what that means? You understand they don't really care about racism, they just use it as a cudgel to beat their opponents with? So that's nice. That's cool. I'll just remember that next time you get accused of racism. These are the same people. They don't really care. And I'm not even saying like they're racist either in reverse racism. They just do whatever it takes for political power. One more. I thought you'd get a kick out of this. This isn't something that's going to make you like upset or ticked off or ruin your weekend. You're going to laugh at this. There's a online influencer of some sorts in the black community. He goes by the name of Dame Dash, which is weird because it's a dude and Dame means chick. But he was talking about the low literacy scores for the black community, and it's Thomas Jefferson's fault.
The problem with us is our cognitive skills and our reading skills. If a kid doesn't know how to read by the time he's in the second grade, they build a jail cell. And then when they go to jail, they give them all these drugs. There's so many issues that I'm dealing with. And if you ran for office, you know what it is to pass a law, then you should teach it. Because no one taught you how to run for office, and that's an issue. You know what else is an issue? Most of the school books that we were educated were made by Mossad. Did you know that?
No.
That's the thing that you need to know.
Who is that for people that don't know?
Ghislaine Maxwell's father, remember the one with SP, the father, is a Mossad agent, and his job was to make school books for American children. Do the research. I just think we're too distracted with bullshit. And we need to know the fight and our problems so we can fix them. Why are we so worried about bullshit? Because we can't read. And why? Because we're teaching the old curriculum that Thomas Jefferson implemented for black people to learn how to listen to white people. And we still have the same curriculum now. So we need to know our issues. And regardless of how we feel, unless you get a law passed, it doesn't matter. Do they teach us how to pass laws? No. Why?
Stop. I'm confused now. Who is feeding you the curriculum that is ruining the black community? Is it Thomas Jefferson or the Mossad? I mean, it can't be both unless Thomas Jefferson was in the Mossad. Huh? All right, that's going to do it for the James Show. Stick around. Mark Levin's coming up next. If you need more James Show action, totally understandable. I love you too. Go check out the podcast. Plus, I have a bunch of great videos that are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever you're at. Look for my stuff. I've got a lot more I can share with you. And plus, if you do the video platforms, you can judge me based on my appearance. All right, go have a good weekend. I'm James Parker. This has been the James Show. News Talk 820, 93.3 FM, WBAP.